What up, guys? Welcome back to the Shinobi Squad Podcast. I'm fan service Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
Today, we're going to talk about how cosplayers are being used by certain entities in the nerd community or the nerd industry. Let's get right into it. Back in the day, cosplayers used to just go to cons just to have a good time, hang out, be with friends, meet new people. Nowadays, a lot of cosplayers are at cons trying to make a business out of it, trying to make money off of being a cosplayer, trying to get that cosplay nerd come up. Of course, with that, there's going to be good opportunities and there's going to be bad opportunities. Let's talk about those bad opportunities that we both see cosplayers being a part of, I guess, or being duped into being a part
Falling
of.
victim of.
Yes, that's a good word. Falling victim to some of these scams that use these cosplayers. The first entity in the nerd industry I want to talk about are conventions. They definitely take advantage of cosplayers.
Oh,
They
yeah.
definitely use cosplayers to their advantage. Now, I'm not talking about using cosplayers to come to their event. I'm talking about having cosplayers be their featured guests. These conventions will reach out to cosplayers and ask them to be guests at the lovely pay rate of free $99.
Yeah.
Some people look at it like, oh, it's an honor, it's an opportunity to be a guest at a convention. On one hand, it is. But then others who are experienced in the industry look at it as you just working for free. So typically, conventions have reached out to cosplayers, fluff them up, tell them, oh, we would be honored to have you as a guest. You can speak at a panel. You can do this. You could do that. You can have your own table. We can't pay you, but the exposure is going to be great. Keep that in mind. The exposure is going to be great. Is it really? Is it really?
So when you say free, do you mean they're not going to be paid like with money or just no compensation whatsoever?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So let me clarify. So when I say free 99, I mean no compensation. It means you're paying for the room, you're paying for your own travel, you're paying for everything.
But you just get to be at the convention for free.
Yeah, you get to be at the convention.
Wow. So they don't even get a table or a booth or anything.
Sometimes they do, but we'll get into that. You're being asked to be a part of this event, and you're not being compensated for your time, except for quote-unquote exposure. Some of them even require you to host a panel, be a judge at the masquerade or whatever, which is fine on normal guest circumstances. So let's strip all that away. You're pretty much telling me I am paying my money and spending my time to come work your event for free.
Right.
I got to get myself there. I have to pay for my own food and expenses. I have to room myself so I can come work for you. That's just at the event. Before the event, you're asking me to advertise your con, hype up all my followers to come be at your event. They buy badges. You make the money.
Right.
I, the cosplayer, don't. How's that even fair?
And sometimes the cosplayer doesn't even realize that they're advertising for the event for free. They're just excited to be at the events. And that to the convention and the company is like, oh, you're advertising for free.
Yep. And that's what they're banking on. I'm glad you said it. That is exactly what they're banking on. They want you to be excited and feel special that you're a part of this event. But really, you're just working for them and advertising for them for absolutely free.
And just to clarify that for you guys, when actors promote a movie, they get a separate payment for that. They get a separate compensation for that. It's not a part of the deal.
Or it's agreed upon in their original contract. It's a part of their press run. Kevin Hart is a perfect example.
Yeah, I'm glad
when
you brought
Kevin
that
Hart
up.
first started making movies, he didn't do press runs for free. The movie studios got mad at him, but he said, hey, I never agreed to that.
Right.
I don't have to use my social media or my platforms to advertise this movie. You paid me to be a part of your movie. You didn't pay me to advertise. So those are two separate things. Your work at the event and your work before the event are two separate things.
Yeah.
You naturally advertise for free anyway because you want to tell people about it.
Right.
You're giving them exposure, though they agreed to be giving you exposure.
Exactly.
Some can argue, well, they put you on their website. They feature you as a guest. Depending on the event, how many people even go to that website?
Exactly. Unless you really want to see if someone's gonna be there
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. But for the most part, it's like all just social media advertisement.
Let's be honest. A lot of the attendees that do go to cons, they don't be clicking that cosplay guest tab.
No.
More people, most attendees that care about guests at cons, they're looking for industry big name guests.
Oh yeah.
80% of the non-cosplay community that attends cons, they're looking for their favorite voice actor,
Yeah.
comic book artist, media person,
Favorite
celebrity.
panels. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to throw shade at cosplay guests, but you go to a lot of these conventions, the lines are at the industry people, the celebrities. There aren't hour-long lines at most of the cosplay guests. That just shows you how much exposure you're not getting. You're sitting at a booth, yes, but that means nothing if no one's coming to your booth.
And those are two separate sections of the dealer's hall anyway. There's
Yeah.
the exhibitors, and then there's the, what do they call it, the fans, the
Yeah,
I forgot what they call it at Anime Expo.
that's a good point too. Cosplayers aren't even called guests.
Yeah.
They're called cosplayers. If they're even called guests, they're not even in the same section as some of the other guests.
Yeah.
Big cons like Anime Expo, for example, or even Long Beach Comic Con, they shove all the cosplay guests in one corner.
Yeah.
Call it the cosplay corner. But wait. If these are guests, how come they don't get the same treatment as some of the other guests?
Right.
Some of the other guests have things like organized lines for people to come see them. You can buy tickets to meet them. But cosplayers just get shoved in the corner like, you kids stay over there.
Well, because they're there for free. You get what you pay for,
Yeah.
or what you don't.
Something like that. But the reverse, they take care of what they spent money on.
Exactly.
A lot of these cons didn't spend any money on these cosplayers. So why do they even care?
Right.
You're lucky if someone even tells you where your damn table is half the time.
I've seen that before.
Yep, and we'll get into that shortly.
So, no, let's get right into being taken care of at a convention as a cosplay guest. I know this one cosplayer who is this international phenomenon. Like, he is amazing. He's a really incredible cosplayer, and he gets booked to these conventions outside of the state, outside of the country. He goes everywhere, basically. For most of these things, he goes to them alone. I've heard his horror stories on the matter of just working these conventions and being on the floor all day from the time it opens until the time it closes and not being taken care of. They just let him go out there and do his thing and don't even check on him or give him water.
So, like, he just sits at his booth and he
Yeah.
has to deal with his fans,
Yeah.
and there's no one there to take care of him.
No, because like I said, some of these people do come with, a partner or somebody to help them, but this guy, he just goes alone.
Since this person's international, I assume he's a guest that's actually compensated, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that speaks volumes. If this is an internationally known cosplay guest, they flew him out there and they're not checking on him and taking care of him.
And I think that's a little worse because you are getting compensated and kind of taking care of you in a way, but at the same time, they're kind of just still throwing the cosplayers out into the world and not even caring after the fact.
Exactly. If they're treating a cosplayer that they spent money on like that,
Yeah.
you can only imagine how that convention treats cosplayers that are just doing it for free.
Right.
Sadly, I've also heard that from my own friends who are international guests at cons. They do get paid to travel. They get appearance fees, they get room, they get their flight taken care of, and so on.
Yeah.
Yet they're still treated like crap
Yeah.
at certain conventions. One of my friends, she told me a very similar story. She was supposed to do one panel, judge the cosplay contest, and that was it. When she wasn't doing that, she was expected to be at her booth the whole time. They wouldn't compensate for her to have a travel partner and a helper. Naturally, she had to go by herself. They told her that she would be taken care of. Hey, we got you. You don't need a travel partner. We'll have someone check on you once an hour in the booth, make sure you're good. They never checked on her the whole entire weekend.
Wow.
She was just stuck at that booth, starving, dehydrating.
Yeah.
Her booth was busy. People were coming. She couldn't leave as she wanted to, and nobody came to check on her. Finally, some of her fans were like, are you okay? We've walked past your booth, and you've been here. Do you need anything? They were the ones that had to go get her food.
Oh, wow.
I've had another cosplay friend tell me similar stories. got so bad she had to go on her Facebook and be like, "Hey, I'm stuck in my booth. Can someone bring me water
Wow,
and
not
food?"
even water?
Yeah, it's bad at some events.
It'd be like that though for
Yeah.
those.
Let's get into the experience of being a non-compensated guest. We can't speak for anyone else that's been a guest at a con for free, but Shauna and I have guested enough cons for free
Oh yeah.
that we can speak on it on our personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Shauna and I used to guest a lot before we moved out to California.
Mm-hmm.
We were also young and naive, had stars in our eyes, like, we can guest at this event. Ooh, thanks, mister. Can I tell my mama about it later?
Those were the days.
Now the con scene has exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Cons are making money. Cons wouldn't be popping up everywhere if they weren't making money. Back when I started cosplaying in the Midwest, if you lived in Michigan, Chicago, Indiana, Ohio, you'd probably only go to 4 cons a year if you were willing to make the drive. If you're willing to drive 3 hours, you can hit a con. Now in the Midwest, you can go to a con once a month.
Right.
Well, I mean, right now you can't because everything's on quarantine. But before all this, if you're willing to make a 3 to 5 hour drive, you can hit a convention almost once every month, maybe even twice a month now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, back to guesting. Some of these cons would hit us up, give us that great speech I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be honored to have you a part of our event. Da 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 da. Shauna was doing her fashion. I was doing my music at the time. Perfect opportunity to showcase our work.
Yeah.
Shauna would do fashion shows. I would perform. I would host. I would MC.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool at first. Then we started learning the game. We would talk to other guests and realize we were the only ones not being compensated.
Yeah. So fast forward a year later, the same convention hit us up to be, a part of their convention.
Yeah.
We got a little smarter and started asking for compensation.
We were very simple about it, too. We just asked for a room for the weekend.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll cover the travel expenses. We knew we weren't big enough guests to demand all this stuff. These conventions would be like, no, we're not going to give you a room. Okay.
They barely gave us badges sometimes.
Yeah. What can you give us? We'll give you each a badge. I wasn't going to even come to this event.
Right.
And you're going to give me a badge? It's going to cost me more in gas to get here than the badge cost. Being young, naive artists, we wanted exposure. We sucked it up. Again, we're like, fine, whatever. We'll go. Once again, the cosplayers were probably the only ones that weren't compensated.
Yeah.
They just slapped us on the website, made us host some panels, judge masquerades, and push it to the side. Why are we spending money to work these events for free?
I think it was when we went to Otakon one year, and the people who were working the event, like all the security and people like that, they didn't even know who we were. And we were trying to work the event. We were trying to do our jobs, but security kept stopping us because our badges didn't say anything different, or that was a big thing. Like, they didn't say anything to anyone.
Yeah.
You remember that they had to sign the back of our badge at some point?
Like, we were in the program guide for Otakon.
But
I
nobody
remember
said
that.
anything, and the security was stopping us on the way to doing our job and on our way to doing something, and the security would always stop us.
And that was a big convention.
Yeah.
Too. Otakon in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
Before they moved to their new location.
We had to go through at least 50 people before anything ever happened.
What was that con in Peoria?
Anime Zab.
Yeah, Anime Zab. That was an interesting convention because we had asked for a room.
Yeah.
We had asked for a room. We had asked for a room as part of our negotiations. We knew that was a smaller con that was out in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. Through negotiations, we were supposed to get a room. Comes to find out, we have a room, but not to ourselves.
Right.
We were expected to share the room with the head DJ and 2 of the other staff members that were part of the rave. We're like, hold up, wait, hold up.
And I remember them not telling us about that. They conveniently left that part out.
Yeah. I thought we were getting our own separate beds, but now one of us got to be cuddle buddies.
That's what we were told. We were told that we were getting our own room. Comes to find out, we have to share the same room with 5 other people, or something like that.
Yeah. Luckily, that DJ, we knew him, but there could have been a chance that we didn't know him.
Because we didn't know. They didn't tell us anything.
Exactly. The con staff didn't know that we knew each other. They had that in mind the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I'm not going to perform. I'm not doing shit until we work this room situation out.
Right.
At the very least, I will settle for us three because we know each other.
Yeah.
I'd brought my camera and my expensive equipment that cost
Exactly.
more. It costs more than what the weekend at the con would have cost. I'm like, no, I'm not sharing my room with people I don't know.
Exactly. People who are going to be in and out.
Yes.
On top of that.
Staff members in and out and whatever friends they bring.
Right.
We kind of got it worked out. By that point, I was pissed off.
Right.
Like, dude, I came here, performed, and did my shit, and yet they were still insisting we have these extra staff members. And there was a whole sob story of like, but they have nowhere to stay. I felt bad, but I didn't feel bad at the same time.
Yeah, because that's not what they told us.
Exactly. And those 2-3 extra people got shoved into another staff room that allegedly already had 10 people in it.
Oh, wow.
Don't quote me.
Ugh.
But they were trying to give us a sob story like, well, if they can't stay with you, then we got to shove them in this other room with 10 people in it. I was like, well,
Oh, well.
I'm sure your other guests don't have to deal with that shit.
Because had they had told us that ahead of time, we could have made arrangements for ourselves. Might not even have gone through with it at all, you know? So that's on them.
Yeah.
It really was.
What was that one convention that we had to guest at? That was a total shitstorm.
Oh.
It was what shitty city it was in? Sorry if this is a city you live in, but Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, Lord. Oh, here we go.
What the hell was it
Here we go.
called?
It was called EpicCon, a.k.a. Epic Fail Con.
That's what they should have called it because it was a
Because
total
it was a
failure.
total disaster. Holy shit. Okay, let me bust this one right open. We both got hit up to be a part of this convention, to be guests at this convention. Notice I said guests, like actual guests. They had us on the website. We had agreed for travel compensation, room and board, and plus an appearance fee.
Yep.
That was a part of the whole package that we agreed on before we made any decisions to even go to this convention. We get there, our room's not really compensated at all.
Yeah, that should have been the red flag right there.
Yeah.
At the very least, they could have pre-booked the room for us, but we booked it ourselves.
And we get there early, right before it opens. We get set up. I had my table because I did fashion. I had my clothes. The girls that came with us were a couple of the models that I had chosen to be a part of my booth. And you had a booth because
I had my merchandise, had my prints, my posters, and just crap like that.
So we're at this convention.
Crap. I just call my own merchandise crap. I just realized that. I mean, my quality goods. Anyways.
So amongst us guests and vendors that were there, they had a good amount of people. It was pretty much, we were set up and we all looked good. Everybody that was there were people that were from all over the country doing separate things. And
Yeah.
So we're all at our booths. We're all waiting for the convention to start.
Yeah.
Noon rolls around. At this point, we had maybe seen 1 or 2 people walk through the dealer's room. The convention total.
The convention itself looked like it was like a indoor farmer's market inside like a warehouse.
Yeah.
And just outside was like a racetrack or some shit.
It used to be like a airplane hangar.
Yeah, that's what it was. It used to be
Yeah.
an airplane hangar. That's exactly what it was. It was an airplane hangar, and there was a runway that got converted into a drag strip for cars to
Yeah.
race. That's what it was.
So EpicCon was its own thing, but then they had like a drag race thing going on outside of the convention.
But it was still a part of the event.
yeah, it was still a part
It was
of the
like
event.
a multi-dual event or whatever they wanted to call it.
From the outside looking in, it looked like a really interesting event.
Yeah, it was like sweet. A Comic-Con and a drag race going on.
There was something for everybody, basically.
Yeah.
As I was saying, by the time noon rolled around, I had seen 1 or 2 people walk through there. It was just people who were not really interested in the cosplay scene or the anime scene or whatever. They were just regular people who just happened to stop by
Just
and walk
locals.
through. Just locals, because you notice when you've been going to conventions for a long time, you kind of notice like the patrons that go to these things, like what they look like, and and I just noticed a couple of people who were just normal people, just seeing what was going on in town. By the time 3 or 4 o'clock rolled around, I didn't see anybody. That place, besides everybody who was there just vending and being a guest, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was weird because I've been to like really small conventions in like out of nowhere places, in the middle of nowhere kind of places, and they're still packed. They still have their
they still
patrons.
have some kind of foot traffic.
Yeah.
This was a ghost town.
This was a ghost town. I'm like, when I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating. Nobody came to this thing. We were all just talking to each other at some point because there was nobody coming to our booth. There was nobody there.
There was nobody walking to the door.
There was nobody. We all made friends with each other because we're like, okay, so what's going on?
It was such a ghost town that tumbleweeds rolled through the middle and two cowboys appeared out of nowhere and had a Wild West shootout. It's like, woo, woo, woo. Wah, wah, wah. It was that bad. Like tumbleweeds, dude. It was like...
It was so bad that I started to walk around the dealer's room myself to see like what everybody had on their table. Yeah. I was so bored. I got so bored at some point. I just started looking at what other people had.
No, like booth. You weren't the only one. It seemed like every booth was taking turns walking around seeing what everyone else had because you would have to ask the booth next to you to watch your booth. So people were just taking their turns rotating around.
It was crazy. I've never seen something like that.
It was so bad that the other cosplay guest that came from San Diego, I'm not going to say who it is. I'm going to protect his identity.
Yeah, this guy came all the way from San Diego.
And then he also had a friend that was a photographer that also came from, I think his friend's from the East Coast. And then he had another friend. Is this weird? We're like, yep. One of them were like, hey, you guys want a day drink? So then we went to the liquor store.
Yeah, it was that dead that somebody left and went to the liquor store to get us a bottle.
Somebody,
meaning to day drink.
Me and one of their associates. We went in the car together. I was in full Natsu from Fairy Tail cosplay. I remember that. I had on like a little vest, some baggy pants,
pink hair,
and the vest had no shirt under, so my like chest and like stomach was hanging out. Show up at the liquor store, and they're looking at us like, "Can we help you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I need some tequila." And the other guy was like, "Yeah, we need a couple bottles of whiskey." And they're looking at us like, "Can you show us some ID?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, my bad."
They probably thought y'all was crazy.
I whip out my Pokemon wallet.
Oh, God.
If that wasn't bad enough, got my Pokemon wallet, and I'm in full cosplay with my pink hair and this little ass vest, looking like Aladdin with my chest just hanging out.
Let me guess, your ID picture didn't match what you was wearing.
Of course, my ID picture did not match. And they're looking at me like, uh-huh. And then the other dude was in full League of Legends cosplay. Unrecognizable.
No shirt on. He had a big ass sword. Mm-hmm. His hair was all over the place.
And he was wearing a loincloth.
Oh, Jesus,
he did not look anything like his character. But surprising enough, they're like, okay, here's your guys' liquor. And finally, one of the staff members is like, is there something going on? We're like, oh yeah, there's a convention going on. They're like, a what?
It's like, oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, this town ain't got shit going on. Like, didn't you hear the two cowboys having a shootout earlier? Like, did y'all miss that? Told them what was going on, and they kind of looked at us like, get out of my store, you freaking weirdos. Anyways, so we went back to that convention and just day drank amongst ourselves. Like, nobody came that first day. Let's fast forward to a couple hours after having some drinks. Some of the cosplay guests and photographers introduce us to this new term called shots and shoots. Pretty much, the photographer and the cosplayer just got drunk, waited about a good 40 minutes for the booze to kick in, and they just started shooting pictures just so they could see what magic they created the next day. I was like, that is interesting. I have never been a part of shots and shoots or shoots and shots or snakes and ladders, whatever you call it. We got pretty buzzed at that point, right? I did not get as buzzed as this other person. He climbed up a tree.
This is the guy from San Diego, just so you guys...
He climbed up a tall-ass tree wearing his loincloth. This tree was probably... No, the branch he got on was probably at least 15, 20 feet above our head.
He climbed.
Yeah. Like,
he climbed high.
You saw everything he had to offer the world.
I was like, sir, are you okay? Are you okay, man?
So he climbed up on this tree, And then the photographer on the bottom is trying to shoot him. I'm like, dude, you could see his balls.
But that wasn't good enough for the photographer.
No. Yes. What did he do?
His shot wasn't good enough from below. His lovely photographer got up on the tree as well.
Mm-hmm.
Climbed another 15 feet.
He climbed up on the tree, got on the branch next to the cosplayer. But the best part of it was he left his camera down on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
With the other guy.
I forgot about that.
He left it with the other guy, right?
And then you had to throw it up there.
Yes, and why did I have to throw it? Because the other guy was passed out on the road. He had drank so much that he laid down and passed out on the street.
We're dude, can you pass me my camera?
So then the photographer was like, hey, can one of you guys get the camera? We're sitting there watching him just sway on that branch. And then we're watching the dude in the loincloth, shirtless, like, come on, I'm ready. He's standing. The photographer has his legs wrapped around this branch, just swaying back and forth. He's like, throw me my camera. I'm looking at his camera, and I'm looking at his lens. I'm like, dude, you have an expensive camera. He's like, it's only $15,000.
I'll just get another one on Tuesday.
You want me to throw your $15,000 camera setup into a tree to your drunk ass, hoping you're going to catch it? Yeah, just throw it, dude. I got it. I've done this before. I got it.
Done this before.
What if I throw like a little bitch and it didn't go anywhere? Like, I'm thinking of all these scenarios in my head. What if I throw it and I hit him and he falls out? Like, he's going to die and the camera's going to break.
That was a big camera, too.
It was. Like I said, it was a pretty hefty duty lens and a full frame
lens.
camera. Yeah. He had a setup like he should have been shooting tigers on National Geographic. Like, I shouldn't be throwing this in the tree. What did we do? We threw it up in the tree.
Because we were, at this point, we were all just
bored. We was bored and we was getting kind of lit too. So we came up with this plan because some of our friends were there. One of us will throw and the others will try to catch in case we miss.
Meanwhile, when this shoots and shots was going on, the shenanigans outside, the convention is still going on. People are still at their booths waiting for a possible person to just wander in there and happen to be looking interested in the convention.
Eventually, we did throw the camera up in that tree, and he caught it, surprisingly.
And he was ready to shoot. He was ready to go.
They got a photo shoot done, which was amazing. Then watching them climb down was hilarious because the photographer just threw his camera down, didn't even warn anybody.
He's like, hey.
He's a catch. He just threw it. I guess that was kind of his mini warning, but he just threw it. We caught it. His friend was still passed out on the street an hour later. And then the cosplayer, he's like, I gotta jump down. Don't look. Like, dude.
We've been staring at your balls.
Oh, yeah. We've been staring up in the tree, seeing your balls for the past hour. Like.
Your purse. We've been looking at your purse.
Yes, we've gone past your prison wallet. Your purse has been shown to the world. So then he jumps down and his loincloth breaks apart and now his ass is hanging out. We're like, bruh. All right, anyways.
This is what happens when the convention doesn't go anywhere.
That was like day one. And day two, still, it wasn't any better.
No.
We just hung out again and just entertained ourselves.
By this time, we were good friends with everybody that were vendors and...
But anyways, like night number 2, they were supposed to have like a dance and a party. Still, nobody came. We went out and hung out amongst ourselves with a few friends we had.
Well, back it up really quick, because I remember that dance that they were supposed to have for us. I don't know if you remember, but outside of the dealer's hall, they had a little area. It wasn't even big or anything. It was just like a little outside area, kind of like, between the front door and, the vendor's hall and everything. And they sectioned off maybe like the corner of that already small section, had like a couple of chairs or something, like dividing the front door and the corner.
I do remember.
And they had their dollar store glow sticks, and I don't even think they had like a radio or a DJ or anything. They had somebody's phone.
Yeah.
And they had a phone and a speaker, and they were playing their own music, and everyone was just in this corner with their glow sticks and having fun and doing whatever. But comes to find out, those few people that were raving by themselves was the family of the lady who organized the event. It wasn't even us.
Yeah.
There was more of us than there was them.
I just remember that I started drinking pretty early in the day because I already knew the con was
Yeah.
gonna suck. So I was kind of like afternoon drinking. So by the time the quote unquote dance happened, I was pretty lit. I vaguely remember because there was pictures of it that I ended up at the nearest McDonald's twerking on the Ronald McDonald drive-through speaker.
And slightly before you started twerking with Ronald McDonald, I had made friends with this paranormal group that had a booth at the convention, and they were these ghost hunters, and they have their own online TV show.
Yeah.
So we went on our own ghost hunt during this time because we were just so bored.
Okay, fast forward to the final day. People were just trying to leave and get their money.
Yeah.
It pretty much seemed like first come, first serve, and that's where we messed up. By the time we went to go ask for our money, the con chair already had a sob story.
Mm-hmm.
She was pretty much like, oh, well, we didn't make enough money, so can we only just give you this much? And she didn't even pay for a third of the expenses for just one of us.
I don't even know who got paid, but I just know the guys from San Diego did not get paid. They were promised a little bit more because they were traveling from so far away.
Mm-hmm.
The paranormal group didn't get paid
Yep.
because she was just going to be like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. But we're like, okay, well, at least pay us for our gas because we drove there. At least pay us for something, whatever you have.
And she pretty much threw us $150 and was like, here, you guys figure it out. This convention used not only the cosplayers, but it used everybody to promote their event.
Yeah. It was a team effort, and nobody got compensated for it at the end of the day.
Yep. Then to make things worse, a month after the event, her daughter posts she bought a brand new car because she graduated college, and her parents got her that car. I'm like, wait, bitch, you fucking owe us money.
Yeah.
You just gonna buy your daughter a new car?
And I was going back and forth with her personally about that. We can work something out. I just seen that you bought your daughter a new car.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's some compensation there. Like, there's some money there. So at least pay us what you owe us. We didn't ask for much, but you can't even do that.
They just pretty much gave us the middle finger, hoping that we would just ignore them forever.
The nail in the coffin was we never took her to court because it wouldn't have been worth it.
Yeah.
But comes to find out, the other people that were involved, that were at the event and didn't get compensated,
Yep.
they all took her to court.
Then to make things worse, she had another convention the following year and scammed a bunch of other people. Of course, it blew up in her face again, and she got more lawsuits. Long story short, it blew up in her face.
Yeah.
And people went public.
She even went as far as saying that certain people were going to be there that never were ever going to be there with her. Like, she was lying about certain people being at her event.
False advertisement. She was promoting people that weren't going to be there.
Yeah.
Just trying to take advantage of her guests, hoping it would draw in people.
She was a mess.
And these people had canceled. They had publicly
Oh, yeah.
canceled because I remember taking time to like research the guests. I'd be on their social media, and it clearly said they canceled. At least a month had gone by since they canceled, and she was still steadily advertising they were going to be there. She scammed a bunch of people, lost even more money, and yet try to maintain her innocence that she was the victim. It just goes back to what we were originally trying to say. People out here just taking advantage of cosplayers.
That was like the lowest of the low that I've ever experienced in my life.
Cosplay was popping. They knew cosplay culture was popping, so they were trying to just bring in anyone that was involved.
Yeah.
And they fed us all a good story. Let me throw in one more disclaimer. I'm not saying all conventions or even most conventions scam people like that. I'm just saying it does happen.
Yeah.
There's been a shift of how conventions treat cosplay guests lately. All right, let's move on. We spent a little more time talking about conventions than I wanted to. Well, I mean, a lot of that because we sidetracked about our day drinking escapades. But you know what? Hey, sometimes when you at a crappy con, that's what happens when you a guest and there's nothing else to do.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah, you do got to do. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hide the fact that that's what we did. So just trying to give y'all the inside scoop.
Plus, it's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
It's fun to reminisce.
It is. Got to give y'all some funny, happy moments in this con life, just so y'all don't think it's totally terrible. Let's move on. On the topic of people taking advantage of cosplayers.
Mm-hmm.
There's been bars, clubs, and venues that have shot their shot and try to take advantage of cosplayers.
Oh God, here we go.
When I was living in Chicago, I had reached out to a barcade. For those that don't know what a barcade is, it's pretty much what Dave and Buster's is. They have video games. It's like an arcade, but they have a bar and a restaurant at times. Well, this place in particular, they didn't have arcade games per se. They had console games. It was a venue where in front it was a gaming store.
Yeah.
You can go in there like GameStop
Like a used
or whatever.
games
Yeah,
store.
you can buy games. But in the back, it was this huge venue. They had 50-inch monitors where you could play console games. You can get a PlayStation, Nintendo, GameCube, Xbox, whatever consoles they had. They had a lot of current consoles at the time. They also had a restaurant and a bar. So it was like kind of this nerd haven.
Yeah.
I learned about it early when they opened up. I reached out to them. I was promoting cosplay gaming events at the time. Let me reach out to them, pitch them this idea to sell them a cosplay event. I have a resume of doing that. Before I reached out to them, I had been promoting my own events for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
I had references that I've done events for.
Mm-hmm.
Pitched my idea to this venue. They shot me down instantly. They didn't like my idea of having this costume event for all ages because they were kind of focused on selling liquor, and I get that. A lot of money at bars and clubs are made through liquor sales.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, right? Fast forward 3 years later, I still kept throwing events on my own terms. I went out of my way to book different venues or halls or hotels.
Yeah.
I put up my own money to rent a space to throw a party how I wanted to throw it.
Mm-hmm.
Started catching a little bit of buzz in the Chicago area for throwing parties. Out of nowhere, I get a message on Facebook from that same venue, that barcade that shot me down twice 3 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They try to act brand new with me too. They was like, "Hey Renji, we heard you're the guy to contact about cosplay parties."
Here we go.
Oh, really?
Really?
We try to throw a cosplay party twice now in the last couple months, and we haven't had good results. We probably had like 20, 30 people show up, but that was it. One of the guests showed up and mentioned your name. They had been to one of your events and had mentioned you had 100 people there. We would love to bring your 100 people to our event. Is there any way we could work together? I'm sitting there rolling my eyes like, really? Really?
Classic case of, oh, it looks easy enough. We can do it too.
Exactly.
We don't need you.
And that's the point I wanted to make. This venue heard cosplay was popping. So they're like, you know what? We're going to throw a cosplay party. They were just trying to reach out to any cosplayer they knew.
Oh, you just dress up like a cartoon character and that's it, and that's how you throw a party. Oh, we can do that. We got a couple of Party City cosplay in the back somewhere.
Unfortunately, they messed up by going to their head waitress that happened to throw on like a Party City Katana Mortal Kombat costume on for an event one day. And they're like, "Oh, you cosplay?" She's like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, you have a Mortal Kombat cosplay. We should throw a party." And she was supposed to be in charge. I don't feel bad saying this, but this bitch had no idea what she wanted to do. And why I say bitch, because after I got to meet her, she was a dumb bitch. So I don't feel bad calling her bitch. Not calling all girls bitches, but this girl was definitely a bitch. Anyways, but we're not at that point of the story yet. So they threw 2 cosplay parties based on this one waitress that wore a Mortal Kombat costume, right? She reached out to the little people she knew, and the party failed. Luckily for them, one of my friends went to the party and mentioned my name. Anyways, I follow up with them because they mentioned my friend's name. If they had never mentioned my friend's name, I'd be like, you know what? Screw you. I haven't forgotten who you were.
Right.
I haven't forgotten how you treated me. And best believe I've done my research on your business and watching you guys go on a downward spiral. Like, why am I going to help you pull your failing business out the dumpster, you know? Being a business person, I wasn't going to totally shoot them down. I was like, all right, these are my terms. Again, they tried to argue with me, but I stood my ground. I'm like, I'm not here to sell alcohol. I'm here to sell a cosplay event for my fellow nerdy
Right.
people, That's what I'm trying to sell. I don't care if you sell booze. You still sell food. We all got to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they were being stupid. They're like, well, we don't need you then. Through another cosplay event, failed even harder. Because the first two times, people were just like, well, it's a cosplay event. Maybe I'll check it out. But by that third event, people knew better that these events sucked.
Right. Yeah.
You only pulled in 30 people for a venue that fits 600.
Yeah.
That's a failure to me. Finally, they came crawling back. And they were like, oh, please come back.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, we need you. So I pitched the deal. My first event pulled in like almost 200 people.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew their mind. But I could just see them just looking at me like, yeah, this guy's helping us. And I didn't like that feeling because I just felt that they were taking advantage of myself and my community.
Right.
They didn't give a damn about the cosplay community,
Right.
but they just saw that money that was being pulled in. On one hand, it's like, it's a nice in-between con event,
Yeah.
Everybody wants an excuse to cosplay. These people trusted me. They
Right.
followed me for years. They trusted me with their money. They're like, yeah, if Renji's vouching for it, if he's organizing it, we'll go. After that first event, another bar caught on and was like, I heard you did a costume event. You want to come do that here? And then I'm looking at their bar. I'm like, your shit's like a straight up like 21 and up thug bar. I'm not going to tell cosplayers to go to your fucking bar and
In the
get
middle
shot.
of the ghetto.
Exactly. But that's what was happening. And I kept seeing other venues hit me up like, hey, come and throw your little Comic-Con party here. I knew that they didn't care about the culture. They were just trying to make money. I threw another event at the same barcade. The next event, 375 people pulled up, and they just saw dollar signs in their eyes.
Right.
Back to that waitress. That first event I
The Mortal
threw.
Kombat waitress.
Oh my God. This bitch thought she was the queen of the party because that first event I threw happened to be on her birthday weekend. It's my birthday. She was grabbing the mics from my DJs that I paid for with my money. This venue did not pay for my staff. They provided me with maybe 5 people. I staffed the rest of my own crew. I'm like, how did I have 10 people on my payroll, but the venue had 5?
Right.
What kind of bullshit is that? But anyways, this girl, bitch, just made this her own birthday party. She's like, everyone's here for my birthday. I'm like, nobody gives a fuck about you.
Right.
Like, no one knows who you are, so settle down. And it's sad that though she was an employee, I almost had to have her removed because she took it upon herself just to go to the bar and drink what she wanted. And she got wasted.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just wanted to mention how much of a bitch she was.
Oh, she's gonna come up again. And speaking of that same bitch, the Mortal Kombat cosplayer bitch that made your party about her because it was her birthday, bitch, she decided to ride off the same train as your cosplay parties and decided to do her own cosplay parties at the same place, Game Plaza, where she worked, and failed miserably because the same crowd didn't come to her event as they came to yours because she didn't know the same people.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. She teamed up with some other girl.
Yeah.
Because they used to post their event on my event page.
And they were just blatantly, obviously, just trying to be negative about it.
They were, because they were
Just trying to be
advertising
haters.
during my event. They would go around and be like, hey, if you like this party, come to our party next week.
Any chance they got, they tried to sabotage everything that you were trying to do because they felt a type of way because they worked at Gang Pazzo, the same place that you're throwing your very successful parties at. They felt a type of way because they were there first.
Yeah, they were there first, but they were all a part of the failure group. I was the first successful promoter that came through that venue. Again, going back to people trying to take advantage of the cosplay culture, they were like, wow, this cosplay event's making way more money than what we're doing. We're trying to sell the plur EDM life at this arcade, but it's not working out. No shit, it's not going to work out. The rave crew isn't trying to sit in front of a video game console. They're trying to pop pills and go to space. They're not trying to play PlayStation with each other.
And again, these people that were trying to do their own thing, riding off the hype of Renji's thing, weren't even cosplayers. They were never in the cosplay community. They never did any of those things.
They just saw the money the cosplayers were spending at this event.
Yeah.
Between entrance fees and food and drinks. That venue, Game Puzzle, never saw money like that ever.
No.
Ever.
Just to put it plainly.
Yeah. Fast forward to finally New Year's comes around. I had booked a different venue. I got tired of the owners of Game Pazo trying to like strong arm me. Every time they talked to me about an event, they kept trying to push for more and more. Even though I was bringing them more business than they've ever seen in their entire life.
They wouldn't have had anything.
I was ready to walk away because the owner was on some dumb shit. By this time, there was already beef within the Chicago community. So many people were trying to hit up this venue about throwing parties. They saw the success of the cosplay parties and they wanted in. Luckily for me, I've been promoting, throwing events. I've been a hustler my whole life. I've learned about contracts and agreements a long time ago. I had made a solid deal with the venue that I am the only one that could throw cosplay parties here. I hold the exclusive right to throw parties here. If you let anyone else throw a cosplay event, I'm walking. And they honored that.
Yeah.
Again, other people were like, Renji's throwing cosplay events? I want a piece of that.
Because again, it looks so easy.
Exactly.
We can do it too.
Exactly. Because these people out of nowhere were event organizers. Like,
I'm telling you, I've never heard of these people before in my life, even though we were all peers. But I've never heard of them throwing any kind of parties, hosting any events, doing any of that stuff.
And sadly, I knew some of these people that were coming at me.
I know.
I'm not going to name any names because we squashed the beef, but just for the sake of the story, people that I personally knew secretly formed some Avengers anti-Renji alliance. Like they formed a whole MCU of how to throw me off. Like I was Thanos. Like they were ready to throw me off the cosplay party throne, as they called it.
Because you were, as I remember, we're trying to monopolize Game Pazo because you were the only one who could do these things.
And what was funny is I had a mole in their crew. Someone that was loyal to me and snitched on the entire crew. He sent me screen caps of all their conversations they ever had. So I had names. I had Facebook names of everyone in this anti-Renji alliance.
And there were people who knew you.
There are people that know me.
People you've
smiled
had
in my face.
There were people that you've had in your parties and your events before the whole Game Pazo thing.
People that I had not only a part, but on my payroll.
Yeah.
I cut these bitches checks. To work my event, and for them to turn their backs on me, again, they caught that greed. They caught that I can take advantage of the cosplay world and make money off of them. Mind you, I'm not even a native to Chicago at this point. I'd only lived there for 3 years. These people were staples in their community, lived there their whole life, but never thought about throwing a cosplay event.
Never.
But then when they saw my events being successful, they're like, oh my God.
Why didn't I think of that?
Smack my head. How come I didn't take advantage of this? And that's where they were thinking wrong. I was throwing these events for the sake of the community. These people wanted to throw events to take advantage of the community. I was just chilling. I didn't have to throw parties.
Right.
Like my first couple parties I was throwing, I didn't make any money. I was breaking even. I was charging $5 at the door for a venue that cost me over $1,000 to book. I barely would break even half the time.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, these dudes, let's take advantage of the community so we can make money.
Because the ball was already rolling.
It was.
And they went to pick it up.
The stage was set and they wanted to be stars. Who the hell are you?
And that's so disrespectful. Even more so being on your payroll before that.
Exactly.
They knew you. All they had to do was ask at the end of the day. It's like, no, but they wanted their own thing. And they wanted their own little hype and whatever.
Yeah, and one of them finally lost it and reached out to me because the manager of the venue had told me, hey, do you know this dude? If that guy's your friend, he's a disloyal asshole because he's trying to throw you under the bus. He's trying to tell me why I should break the contract with you and work with him. But I told him,
you've never thrown a party before in your life, so.
And that's what the manager told him. He's like, I don't know you. He's like, Renji has a track record. He's proven it before he came here, and we're not going to mess it up now. But the owner even threw him a bone. He's like, if you want to do some other kind of event, you're more than welcome to. You just cannot do a cosplay, anime con, comic con type of event. Renji has the exclusive rights to that. But if you want to throw a Wild West country night and you guys want to wear cowboy hats and bring pistols in, that's fine. He was more than willing to let them do whatever they wanted.
Right.
But yet he was hell-bent on doing cosplay. Why? Because people are just out there seeing the popularity of cosplay and they just trying to dig in the pockets of cosplayers. They're just trying to take advantage of cosplayers for their own benefit. Before I get too deep in my feelings and emotions now, because I'm getting kind of heated just thinking about all these freaking backstabbers and stuff.
Right.
No, I'm not done. Screw that. Y'all gonna listen to this because now I'm mad. So I'm gonna say it. All right. So these dudes, these anti-Renji Avengers, right? They went as far as throwing an anti-Renji party the same night I threw a different party. Their main goal was to take people away from my event to go to their event.
Yep.
They went as far as offering free alcohol and food. One of my sources told me that they probably spent $500 on food and alcohol just to lure people in there.
But I heard from a little birdie from that same little party they tried to throw that it wasn't shit. And they only went to that one anti-Renji party and came right back to your events after that.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I got informants that work for me. I got snitches. Snitches get riches, I guess, because they knew that if they came to me with some information, I was going to break them off a little something. I didn't ask them to. They went there and they was like, look, Renji, I got receipts. And they did all that for maybe 20 people not to come to my party. But the party I threw still pulled in over 100 people. I'm just like, I still made money.
Yeah.
The venue still made money. But you lost $500 just to spite me?
Yeah.
Don't you feel stupid? Ugh. I still got the list of all their names, too. If I wasn't a Buddhist...
You can just let it go, because I want to say before we move on from this subject that when Renji threw the New Year's Eve party at Game Pazzo, he had Miss Yaya Han there as a special guest. He pulled in a lot of people there. He did a very good job. He was just fine. Let's just say that. He was just fine.
Despite all the hate, it was an amazing event. We pulled in like 600 people, and it was a blizzard. If it wasn't a blizzard in Chicago, we probably would have hit 800, 900 people, because there's people messaging saying that they were going to come from different states away, but it was a blizzard, and they didn't want to risk it.
People came from all over.
Yeah, despite the blizzard, some people still drove 5-6 hours. There's people that got in car accidents and still kept on coming. It was a 12-hour event. Like, why wouldn't you come? You got your money's worth. The event went on for 12 hours.
And people still talk about that same event to this day. Even after Renji has already moved on, he lives here in LA. People still talk about that same New Year's Eve party to this day. What more can I say? You made a name for yourself and you did that shit.
Yeah, not trying to flex, but it is trying to...
No, I will flex for you. I don't even care. You did your shit. You put your foot in that. And
I appreciate it.
I just want to put that out there for y'all haters, because I know I saw the list too. I saw your names. And since he's been gone, y'all still haven't done anything. Let me just point that one out to you. None of y'all that were out there conniving and trying to make your little anti-Renji parties to this day have not had your own cosplay event, have not done anything. Renji has not been in the Midwest in a long time like that, and has not thrown parties out there. And y'all still haven't done anything. You've never stepped up to the plate after that. So what's your excuse now? Is he still monopolizing your area? No.
It's like, what I eat doesn't make you shit. I've said that before. I don't know if I said it on a podcast, but what I eat doesn't make you shit. Now that I've been long gone, no one has stepped up to the plate. All these people that were saying that I was stopping them from throwing these events, all these people that were trying to capitalize and take advantage of the cosplay community.
And that was the main point they kept saying.
Yeah.
Is that you were stopping them from doing their thing.
And they suddenly disappeared. But I mentioned this earlier, though. Not in this podcast, but in one of the previous episodes about don't know what to do unless someone else is doing it. But anyways, that's a whole nother side story that I don't want to get into, because I'm already boiling thinking about the anti-Renji Avengers group that ain't doing shit right now.
Just remember this. The only one stopping you from doing what you want to do is yourself. No one is in charge of your life but you.
Cosplay is the fastest growing trend in the world right now. Everyone's trying to get a lick. Everyone is trying to capitalize off of cosplay, whether it be the cosplayer or outside parties. I just want my fellow cosplayers to be smarter about it. These companies have the money to pay you. It's up to you to ask for that money. Clearly, they had the money to start their business. They had the money to pay for everything else. So why can't they pay for you and your time? They had money to invest in what they thought was important. So if they don't want to invest money in you, you're not that important to them. You need to understand how important you really are to some of these people and value your time and value who you are. Us as cosplayers, we need to stop doing shit for free. Making cosplay costs money. It takes time. It's stressful. It's one thing to be a YouTuber and just shoot a video. Digital media is free. You can shoot a video of you taking a dump on your toilet for 16 hours. It don't cost you any money, but as a cosplayer, it costs you money to buy material and make something. The sooner we stop doing things for free, the sooner we could all start getting paid. Every other subculture is making money. Some of y'all are too young to remember when skateboarding was a joke. When skateboarders were just
X Games.
punks. Exactly. X Games people were considered jokes. BMX bike riders, skateboarders, anything of that nature. It was just a joke and a hobby that people did. But skateboarding alone is a multi-billion-dollar business.
Yeah.
Cosplay could be on its way there, but we are our own worst enemies. We don't think we're worth the time and the money, but we are. Because if we weren't, there wouldn't be a cosplay convention every week. If you're willing to travel around the United States alone, you could be at a convention every week if you wanted to. That's how big this community is getting. So someone out there is making money, except you cosplayers, because you're selling yourself short.
And you have to remember, time is money. And with this whole cosplay thing, even though some people still downplay it as something that, just nerds do or whatever, if you're spending time to make a costume, if you're spending time to do anything within the cosplay community, your time is money. It's currency.
Time is the one currency you can't get back.
You can't get it back.
You can't go to work and earn more time. The time you have in this lifetime on this earth is limited. Value it, whether it be at a convention or not. If someone's asking you to be a part of an event that you weren't even trying to go to, you need to be compensated for it.
Put a price on it.
Anything. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you deserve something for your time. And that's what I want cosplayers to realize. Stop just being, okay, I want to be a guest. That same time you wasted, not spent, wasted at this convention that doesn't help you one bit, you could have just spent that time at home advertising yourself.
Exactly. You could do more for yourself than these people can do for you at times when you don't market yourself right. And if this is what you really want to do with your life, you got to put a price on it. You got to say something. You got to do something about it. We talked about a lot here, but you know what? I feel a lot lighter. I feel a lot better.
Oh, no, I do too. I feel this is stuff people aren't talking about. A lot of cosplayer guests, even the ones that are getting compensated, want to just talk about the good life and be inspirational. They never want to talk about the dark side. They never want to talk about the bullshit they really experience. For whatever reason, they feel it may tarnish their brand. It may tarnish their opportunities with other conventions.
But then you start getting different compensation for your time and your product that you're trying to put out. Like if you start talking against what you don't want, then maybe sometimes you'll get opportunities that you do want.
Exactly. If everyone just started speaking the truth, these events, promoters, vendors like comic book companies or outside entities would realize a cosplayer's time is worth something, and they would stop trying to dick us all over.
And then they'll start getting, on the same note, they'll start getting what they pay for too.
They'll start getting quality guests and people that will bring in people. Anyways, I'm tired. I'm tired just talking about this. Let's stop sugarcoating the industry. Let's stop telling people you live this great life in the nerd community and you drive a Bentley, because you don't. You really don't. I've seen some of y'all cosplay guests share a room with 12 other people at Dragon Con. Quit fronting. Start speaking the truth. so people can start standing up to these conventions so you can make more money. Thank you so much for hanging in there, letting us vent and spit some truth on y'all. Make sure y'all follow us on social media. I've been dropping a lot of new cosplays, even in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
Shauna been knocking out fashion pieces. For those that don't know Shauna before this podcast, she's a fashion designer. She makes a lot of original fashion pieces and she's putting them out right now. So make sure you follow us on social media. Fan service Renji on everything.
Shana Mostella on everything, and for my fashion, it is Mostella Couture.
Yep. So if y'all
Links will
want,
be below.
yeah, the links will be below. So if y'all want to see more of what we do, because we talk about cosplay life, convention life, but in this podcast, obviously we can't show you pictures of everything. So if you want to do some research and just look at the back catalog of all the cosplays we have
Mm-hmm.
both done, the fashion pieces Sean has done, or just a back catalog of my YouTube videos, it's all there. Take the time to look at it. Anyways, enough self promotion. Hashtag not sponsored. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I'm Fan Service Renji,
I'm Shana Mostella.
and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you so much.